What's up, guys? This is Jacob with Rise and Land Clearing Grow. Just going to double check that I am live and audio is good real quick. Hope y'all are having a great morning. Once I see that this is live, I will get after it. If anybody jumps on and you can hear me, just let me know. View your channel. Okay, we are live with good audio. Sweet. All right, good morning, guys. Again, this is Jacob with Rise and Land Clearing Growth. What I want to cover today, running the iron and the phone, sales systems for land clearing owners. This is one thing that I'm definitely passionate about, that I've got to be a part of a lot of in many different ways. And it's also one of the biggest differentiators in guys who make more money versus guys who don't, guys who are more successful versus guys who are not, guys who get more return on marketing versus the ones who don't. This is the biggest thing. So I want to cover this today, and I also want to cover a few questions that were asked in our Titans group about sales specifically. Let me get this link shared real fast. YouTube channel live share. Copy the link. Live link. All right, got that link shared. And this will also be recorded, and I'll post some replays and clips later. But I've created a document for sales systems for land clearing owners based on many different things. Based on the experience we've had over the last 4 years working with only land clearing businesses and helping them with their sales, both building systems for them, but also auditing what they're doing to do well. Lots of guys come to us already really good at sales, and they get a better return, they get a better value, they make more money. So I look into that and see, okay, what are the things that work? What are the things that make people successful? On top of that, I've gone and paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get trainings from people who have taught me how to do sales, who have taught me sales systems, who have taught me sales best practices. And on top of that, I have ran my own businesses for going on 8 years now, and spent a lot of time selling jobs to customers, spent a lot of time selling services to other businesses, and spent time selling other things to consumers through the different businesses that I've worked. And then some more unconventional style of sales I've been a part of. So I've been around it quite a bit. I've paid a lot of money to learn from others, and I've gotten lots of feedback from others, as well as analyzing now thousands of businesses, thousands of land clearing businesses specifically as well. So that's what I want to cover today. You might see my eyes off the screen just a little bit as I'm going to keep this document open so that I can read it to you guys. And if anybody wants any of this info, just send me a message or let me know. So, sales systems for land clearing owners. Most land clearing guys don't lose because of their price or their work. They lose because they're trying to run iron and do sales in chaos, or they've got salespeople with no real system. The reason I know this is true is because it is the biggest difference between guys making millions and guys not. And it's also the biggest difference in guys who get a good return on investment in marketing versus the ones who don't. Why can I talk about this? I just kind of mentioned that. I have now talked to thousands of land clearing companies over the years, and we've worked very closely with hundreds. And we've been able to see what sales systems work, what best practices work the best to get the most bang for your buck. But I also have the personal experience from my business selling direct to consumers, selling direct to homeowners, selling direct to um, commercial like business owners, commercial properties, commercial property managers, and then more unconventional ways. And then also, of course, selling our services to businesses like yourself. Let me see if I can get this on a better screen here so I can see. If any of you have any specific questions you want answered throughout this, just please bring it up and I will try to answer it live here. But I do have a few questions that came from our Titans group, which is our highest tier of clients that work with us. So I want to answer some of their questions. So today I'm going to show you how a single operator or maybe a 2 to 3 man crew can stay productive in the machine and as the sales guy. How to keep pressure on your sales guys so leads don't die, and exactly how many times to follow up. And what to say in the first 10 seconds so people don't hang up on you. These are some of the most frequently asked questions. And then I'm also just going to show you the system and best practices for sales when it pertains to land clearing. Now, obviously, some of these will transfer over, but this is going to mainly be focused on land clearing. So for the owner operator or the 2 man crew, how do you do both? Very few people are great at both sales and ops. When you try to do both at random, a lot of times you get pulled one way or the other. So you need structure, not try harder. Time blocking is a great option for this. So early mornings, hour and a half office time before you start rolling, call back new leads, book estimates, send quotes. When you're in the machine during the day or you're on the job sites, you're working the machine, answering the phone, which we'll talk more about here in a minute, and then doing any on-site estimates that may be close in the same area. This is huge. This is also something you can really utilize a good CRM or dashboard to help you out with. Evenings, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, you need to be following up from the day and scheduling the next day. You should always be scheduling, planning, setting yourself up for the next day, both with your jobs, with your machines, with your crews, but especially with sales. Next, create 3 simple tools so you don't think, you just do. So the first is a first contact script for the phone. Memorize it, print it, post it, audit it to make sure people are following it if that's the position you're in. Here's a good example of one. Hey, John, this is Jacob with Rise. You sent in a request about that property off of 35 is now a terrible time. So one thing I want to point out, that's a quick, punchy script, but my tone wasn't really good. So people like to talk to people, despite what a lot of folks have opinions on that. People do like to talk to people, but they like to talk to nice people and have a good conversation. Now that doesn't mean you need to go like full front office doctor secretary, even though that does work a lot of times. Like a nice lady on the phone will usually get better response rates than the blue collar dude. But as a blue collar guy, we can kind of find the happy medium. So let me say that again with a better tonality. And there's a few things I want to point out here. But hey, John, it's Jacob with Rise. You just sent in a request about that property off 35. Is now a terrible time? See how the tone's better? I put a little inflection in there. Those are also things you want to practice. And it sounds a little funny, but it's very true and it makes a huge difference. But also being short, sweet, to the point, making the best use of their time and yours. Not, hey, is this John? Yeah, who is this? Yeah, this is Jacob. No, you know who you're calling. You got the lead, right? This is when you're calling. Now, if somebody's calling you, hopefully you'll see something, but basically you're just going to skip that first part. Like, hey, this is Jacob with Jacob's Land Clearing. How can I help you? Something like that. Because obviously when you're getting an incoming call, It could be anybody from a lead to somebody trying to sell you to a bot, whatever. But you still always want to answer professionally in the same way. That way it's second nature. But this is for when you're calling the lead. Hey, John, it's Jacob with Rise. I just saw your request come in about the property off 35. Is now a terrible time? That's another cool one because instead of being like, hey, do you have a second to talk? And they're going to be kind of hesitant, people are quicker to say no. So it's like, hey, is now a terrible time? Like the chance of somebody saying yes to that, not as high. Now, if it truly is a terrible time, well, now you seem like the person who you're having forethought about them. Like, hey, I just want to make sure, is this a terrible time? If it is, I can call back later. And so most of the time, they're gonna say no. That's when you jump into your discovery, which would be qualifying, right? So you just want to figure out, and again, is now a terrible time? You're controlling the conversation. That's the big thing. For you to be efficient and to save your time and theirs, and them not ramble off onto a story, you have to control the conversation. Because if you're just like, hey, yeah, saw your form, what you got going on? And then they go into their story of how they obtained the property in 1987 and all this stuff. You have to control the conversation. So is now a terrible time? No. Okay, quick qualifications. So the qualifications are going to be different based on who you're working with. But basically, what I want to figure out is like, where's the property? What's the size of the property? What's the scope of the project they're looking done? Do they own the property? Right. So that way you can quickly get like, okay, is this a job where I can just give them a quick price range? It's 1 to 3 acres, not a whole lot going on. And hopefully, depending on how you have your forms set up or your marketing set up, hopefully you have some of this information before you ever talk to them. That's why some of this is so important, so that you can pull a lot of this up and only talk about the very important things on the phone and not spend a whole bunch of extra time. So you're trying to figure out, is this a giant project that you're going to have to go look at before you can really give them any kind of hard price? Or is this something where you can give them a quick price? It may not be worth, if it's a $3, $4, $5,000 job, I prefer to try to sell all of it in person. But if it's maybe a little far away, maybe it's a $3,000 job, it's worth doing, but it's an hour away, so it's not worth driving there to do the estimate. That's kind of a business to business decision, depending on yourself. But you want to figure those kind of things out very quickly. And the goal of this call, I should have said this at the beginning, the goal of the first call is not to sell your service. The goal of the first call is to sell the appointment, is to sell the on-site estimate for your ideal job. Now, if your ideal job is $3,000, your smaller, newer, different setup, then you may still want to go look at that in person, right? It may still be worth it. But if you're running multiple machines and your average tickets, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, it may not be worth it for a $3,000 job an hour away. So you have to kind of weigh that yourself. But your goal is to get in front of them in person. So you want to figure out if they're worth that time. So do they? And one thing I want to say, when I say worth that time, I mean worth that time in the next 72 hours. Like if they don't own the property, they're not worth the time in the next 72 hours, most likely. But they may be a $500,000 job 2 years from now. So don't blow them off is not what I'm saying. But your job is, you're trying to figure out, okay, do they own the property? Is this a decent sized job? Is it in my service area? Is it in my scope? Okay. So you realize, hey, I could potentially help this person out. And I like to kind of start it off like that. Like, hey, I just need to ask a few questions to make sure we're the right fit to be able to help you out. And if that's the case, then hey, I'm actually available Thursday at 2 p.m. or Friday at 1 p.m. What's better for you? So again, you're controlling the conversation. You ask your very quick qualifying questions. You vanguard them before. Like, hey, so you reached out. Let me go from the beginning. Hey, John, this is Jacob with Rise. I just saw your request about the property overall 35. Is now a terrible time? No? Okay, sweet. Hey, do you own that property, John? Yes, perfect. How many acres you got over there? My form says between 5 and 10. 7? Okay, perfect. And what exactly are you needing to have done at that property? What is your goal? What are you looking to do? Like, oh, you're prepping for building. Okay, perfect. Hey, I can actually walk this property with you Thursday at 1 or Friday at 2. What works better? So it's short, quick, to the point. It's professional, it's strong. You're controlling the conversation. You're not spending a bunch of time on the phone with them. And if they say yes, well, heck yeah, right? And you're only giving them options. You're not saying, well, I think maybe let me get my calendar. This is where it's good to have that system, have that time blocking we talked about earlier of knowing your schedule, knowing where things are at, knowing what you're capable of, right? So give them options. Even if you have like a full day available, don't tell them like I can come anytime Thursday. Like tell them, hey, I can come Thursday at 1 or Friday at 2. If neither of those work for them, okay, now you can negotiate. But if one works, it's like, yes, boom, done, right? That time is better. Now, of course, they may ask about, well, what is this going to run me roundabout? Now, if you follow my stuff, you know what I'm going to say, that you need to have pricing ranges and estimate ranges available in your website, on your posts, on your videos, everywhere, so that you can pretty much avoid this question. And people who don't have the budget just don't call you. But let's assume that they did, but they just want to know, they want to feel you out, right? And so it's 7 acres, they want to leave 2 or 3 acres wooded, and they want to build a house. So they need like 4 to 5 acres cleared. And so you need to know your pricing to be able to give those ranges. So I start off with like, yeah, absolutely. So when I walk it with you, I'm going to give you an exact quote, but just to, and there's a cool little thing you can say here. So when I walk it with you, I'm going to give you exact quote. That way we make sure you don't overpay. But to give you a range, typically a property like this is going to fall between $5,000 and $10,000 for us, depending on a few factors that we'll look at together at the property. Does that sound good? Boom. It's like, hey, okay. If it's like, if they're shocked, then you can kind of go a different direction. Like, why are they shocked? Did they not have the money, or it's just more than they thought it would be? One of my favorite quotes on this, like when you go to a nice restaurant or an amusement park or something, like a lot of times you're shocked that the steak's $100 or that the drink is $10 and you can't get refills or something, but you still buy it. So just because someone's shocked by the price doesn't mean they're not a buyer, right? And again, you can avoid a lot of this by having your pricing transparent everywhere. So that was a lot on the first contact script, but I think that is very, very important. Tonality, punchy, control the conversation, qualify them as quick as possible, get to the on-site estimate. That's what you're trying to sell. For your ideal jobs, you want to get in person, you want to look at it, you want to know the full scope of the job, because two two 1 acre clearing jobs could be drastically different depending on terrain, tree size, access, what the heck is hidden out there in the woods, what's the goal of the property. Is it going to be pasture? Is it going to be a house? Is it going to be hunting land? It's so different. So you have to get there. And so that's what you're trying to sell. Don't try to sell your services on the phone. You will run into people that we call our laydowns, where they fully understand, they have the money, they've done this before, blah, blah, blah. You may be able to get away with that. But your goal, 99% of the time, should be to get to that on site estimate. Okay. So that was number one of the three simple tools. So you don't think, you just do. Next would be a text template for missed calls. So both missed calls that, like, you tried to call them, they didn't answer. Do you want to text them right away? Now, my preference is when they fill out a lead form, they're getting an automatic text that sounds like you from the system, from some kind of dashboard, CRM, automation, however you want to set it up. This helps with two things. One, your speed to lead. They're getting contacted immediately, so you're keeping that momentum rolling. You're opening it up because some people are filling this out on the toilet. They're filling it out at work. They're filling it out at a family function. They're not going to answer the phone, but they're willing to text. So you should text right away. But also, when you text with your name and your company, when you go to call, their phone will most likely say, hey, this may be Jacob with Land Clearing Growth. So that's super helpful. But here's a good text template. Hey, John, it's Jacob with Rise. I just got your request about the property over there on 35. I could swing by Thursday or Friday at 1 p.m. for a quick walk and a firm number. Which works for you? You would be surprised if you send a text like that after just trying to call and they already got a like auto intro text, how many people will respond. Double texting is huge. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later down the road, but for that first contact, double dialing is king. It blows my mind. I'm starting to learn this more and more. How many people run around with their phones on do not disturb all day? A ton of people do this. But the way the do not disturb settings are is a lot of times if you double dial, the call will get through. So a lot of times you call and it's like, oh, they blocked me. Hey, they didn't answer. Their phone's off. This isn't a real lead. But if you just call 2 times in a row, the call will jump through and they'll answer it. And then I have been testing for the past few weeks triple dialing because some people have that setting further where the do not disturb will let it come through if you call 3 times. Because most of the time, like over time, the bots and all the spam and stuff have learned the double dial, but they haven't started triple dialing, right? So I just did this a couple days ago. Dial, no answer, dial, no answer, dial, instant answer. And he was like, hey, what's up, man? Like as if I didn't just call 2 times because he had no clue I had called because his phone blocked it. So don't give up with one call. Send the text for missed calls. Have a one-page estimate template you could fill out on your phone or in your truck and text the same day. Now, you could do this in a CRM. You could do this with AI. You could do this with your pricing page on your website, and you could use an instant estimate tool. You could even go as far as to create a custom GPT that knows everything about every pricing variable you have. And you just give them, you could open your phone and you could be like, hey, I've got this 5-acre property. It's got this terrain, this slope, this size trees. They want to leave all trees over 8 inches and they want it done next week. We're not going to haul off. We're going to mulch everything and they want a rough grade. Give me a price. If you give that GPT enough information, it will give you a more accurate price than you would ever get yourself. I promise. We've done it. It's amazing. Whatever you do, if it's that far down the road or if it's just having some quick template on your phone, you need to have it where you can get that to them quickly. Speed wins. Speed wins. 78% of people will go with the first company that gives them enough information to make a purchasing decision. Don't let that be your competition. Next thing is bam fam. Book a meeting from a meeting. Never, ever, ever get off the phone with somebody that's a potential client or even a current client. We can talk more about that later, but especially potential client without having the next meeting scheduled, whether that meeting's a phone call or it's in person, whether that's next week or in 6 months. Put it on the calendar. This is proven time and time again. If you hang up with somebody and you don't book a meeting from a meeting, the percentage of you never hearing from that person again is very high, which we're going to talk a little bit about that as well further along. I'm trying to keep up with my my time here. Sorry. Let me make sure I don't have any comments. Again, guys, if y'all have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to keep rolling here. Okay. Now, next, leverage cheap help instead of doing 100% yourself. So this is huge when you start to kind of get to that point where you've got good lead flow, but you're still doing a lot of work in the machine, and especially if you're doing a lot of work where service is bad. So you can have a call answering service, a VA, a spouse, a friend, a family member trained to grab new leads, book estimates in your calendar, run basic follow-up text, and then your job is just to show up to the estimates and close them and do the jobs. This is really easy and really cheap to pay someone for, and it can really transform your business. Alex Hormozy tells a really cool story about this guy who closed 60% of all of his leads. Not 60% of in-person sales or whatever. This was a home remodeler. 60% of like leads, just people who filled out a form or called him, which is an insane number. Most of you close like less than 10% of your leads, 10 to 20%. So the one thing he did was he paid his aunt $60,000 a year to do nothing but work the leads as fast as possible, as often as possible. That was it. The phone rings, no matter what she's doing, no matter what time, no matter where, she answers the phone, she qualifies, she books the estimate, she runs follow-up texts. That's it. And at first you may think 60,000 a year is a lot for that, but like in his space, home remodeling, like if he lands one job because of that, it's worth it. But he's closing 60% of his leads. I mean, if you're considering his average ticket to be $5,000 to $10,000, which is on the low side, and he's getting even 100 leads a year, that's 60 jobs. And like most of you, like in our agency, our clients who get the absolute most leads, we're talking like 200 leads a month, right? So what does that come out to? Like less than 10 leads a day. So like it's not a whole lot of work. It just feels like a whole lot of work if you're trying to do it and everything else in your business. But if one person, if that's all their job is, it's really not that much work. So you can do that. You can also utilize AI. It's not my favorite using AI to talk to potential customers, but it does work pretty well. Most people, they don't know really they're talking to an AI, but it's better than them calling your competition. And if you think about it, like think about when you call a doctor's office or you call something with an answering service where it's like a computer and it's like, hey, thanks for calling. Here's our hours, blah, blah, blah. And it's like you have to wait for them to get to the press 3 now. Well, you can use an AI receptionist to do that. And then the person doesn't have to wait like that because the AI can talk back and forth. So it figures out exactly what you want and it can either forward the call to you or it can you can have it send them information. So if they're just price shopping, like they're not ready to move, they don't have the budget, they don't know, whatever, the AI can answer that. It could give them estimate ranges and it could also send them a pricing page or a review page or whatever. You can have the AI like literally send them text based on what they said on the call, forward the call based on what they said. So it's just like a way smarter um, recording for a front office. Again, not my favorite, but it's better than them calling your competitor. All right. Section 2 for companies with crews and salesmen. So the question I'm answering here, what's the best practice for keeping pressure on your salesman so closing percentage stays up and leads don't fall through the cracks? This is a great question. And I've dealt with this in my current business, in my previous business, and with many other businesses that have worked with us. Number one here, make the game visible, a scorecard. Scorecard is kind of the standard for what you're looking for here. Track the rep weekly, speed to lead, median minutes. So remember, we're shooting for under 5 minutes, bonus points for under 60 seconds, which we know increases lead conversion by 391%, almost 4x. So track speed to lead. Track contact rate percentage, meaning if you get 100 leads and you're able to physically talk to 80% contact rate. Booked estimate percentage. So how many from the contact rate, how many estimates were you able to book? Show rate. So this show rate a lot of times is more for like sales appointments. In our case, most of the time you're going to the person's property. So show rate would just be people who don't cancel on you. And then close rate. And then revenue, gross profit, however you like to track, closed each week, every single week. Post it, talk about it. Visibility equals pressure. So if you're tracking this and you're tracking it often, it's not like, hey, I feel like things are down. I'm going to start looking into your performance. It's like, no, here's the standard. We're going to look into the performance of everything every week. And it's like, hey, man, speed to lead was down this week, and so was revenue. Huh. Maybe we should fix this next week. Hey, booked estimate was down and your contact rate was down. Like, what are we doing? Are we following the scripts? Are we following the cadence? Track it every week so that it's standard, so it doesn't feel like, trouble, like you're looking into something. It's just standard how we do things. And they know they're going to be seen. They know it's going to be shown. So that puts pressure. On our end, I provide, of course, commission as well as bonuses for hitting certain levels of revenue, and that's stair steps. Another thing people do is bonuses, or not bonus, but commission increases as you stair step. So, like, if you want them to hit a minimum of 50,000 in new work sold in a month, like, okay, I'll give you 10% commission up to 50,000, but over 50,000, and now I'm going to give you 15% or 12%, right? So then that incentivizes them, because sometimes with commission and or bonus, they'll hit it and then they're like, I'm good. But you have to incentivize them at that next step. Hope that helps. You need to have service level within 5 minutes. Brownie seconds. I prefer for CRM automations and or AI to handle anything that we would consider after hours. Me personally, I'll still text a lead at 10 p.m. I'll still text a lead at 6 a.m. That's just me. But if you have pretty hard like on and off times, utilize automation and AI for those on and off times, or even a VA. If you were to hire a VA from like the Philippines or something, they're reverse of us. So have them text all leads in the night. And you may think like, oh, you know what? People fill out lead forms at 2, 3, 4 in the morning all the time. Maybe they work different shifts. Maybe they're just night owls. Who knows? But you might as well scoop them up. You're paying for the lead. Call all new leads within 5 minutes. Brownie points for under 60 seconds. 72-hour booking rule. This is what I call the 72-hour booking machine. You need to do this. The best companies are doing this. I've investigated it. It literally makes you more money. Push for same day, next day, or day after. 72 hours, 3-day window to get an on-site estimate and get them the estimate. They need to have something they can say yes or no to within 72 hours of them filling out the form. Just do it. You'll make more money. No lead dies without at least 7 attempts. We're going to talk about that some more in the follow-up section below. We sip some coffee here. Guys, again, if y'all have any questions, let me know. Systems so leads cannot fall through. Every lead lives in a CRM or a pipeline, not on sticky notes. Now, for those of you that don't know what a CRM is, customer relations management system, you could, if you just do not want to spend a dime, you could do this in like Google Sheets, Google Docs. But it needs to be digital, shareable, not burnable or spillable. It needs to be documented somewhere like that. But CRM allows you a lot more automation. Each stage has an owner, no orphan leads. Our best case studies do this, from one machine guys doing $250K a year to guys doing 3 million plus. Every stage has an owner, meaning somebody who owns that lead. Call recordings plus 1 to 2 calls per rep reviewed each week. If you're not reviewing and auditing what your people are doing, you have no clue what they're doing and you have no clue what to fix. You can also use AI for this. There's some really simple, really easy AIs that you say like, hey, here's the script, here's the service level agreement, here's the tonality, the things we want said, the things we want asked, the things we need to check in on, and the next steps set up. And then you can have the AI review every call in seconds, and it'll tell you on a percentage scale how much they did, what they did good, what they did bad. It can also tell them, so they get that feedback. Fast feedback loop. Pressure comes from standards plus visibility. I hope that answers y'all's question there. How many times to follow up before giving up was another question. So how many times do you follow up before giving up? One example I love to share on this. Last year, we had a client land a $500,000 job that took 2 years of follow-up. Was that worth it? 2 years. Who knows how many times they talked? Is that worth it? Yes. Now, of course, that's an extreme example. I'm sure this question is more rooted in like people who they've only talked to once or maybe haven't even been able to talk to yet. My big thing is you're paying for the lead, and it's our job as the business owner to be available and give that person the information when it's convenient for them. If you think otherwise, then that's ego, that's pride, and you're going to lose money because of it. Now, you can automate this. Again, if you're using some kind of CRM, you can automate as many attempts for as long as you want. Now, I like to throw personal in there too, but you can set up CRMs where if customer hasn't replied, keep sending them emails, keep sending them texts. Uh, here's here is a clear cadence. Day 0, day of the lead, call. If no answer, call again. I talked about this earlier. Double dial is king. We've been testing triple dial recently. It works. If they don't answer, just call again. Just call again. If still no answer, leave a voicemail and send a text. Now, preferably, there would have already been a text sent from the system as soon as the lead was submitted. That's what I like because it keeps the momentum going. It gets your number in front of them, it gets your name in front of them, and they see something real right after interacting with your ad. But after you try to call, you should leave a voicemail and then send a more personalized text, something similar with the text template we talked about up above. Day 1 and 2, 2 calls a day, AM and PM. Again, you may be talking to somebody who has a weird schedule, different schedule. So give them the benefit of the doubt there. And then send at least 1 text a day. And I like to send value or proof in those follow-up texts. It's like, hey, check out this job we did last week. Day 3 through 7, 1 call a day, 1 text a day. Ask a question that like elicits a response. Like, hey, are you there? Hey, John, are you there? Is this property near HEB? Is this property near the Walmart over there? Like something where they would recognize it and they would want to respond. Another thing that the Hormozy team has tested a lot is memes. If you send someone a meme, it gets a really good response. It kind of just like humanizes you a little bit, makes them think you're not a computer or a robot. So that's just one thing you can do on that day 3 through 7, on top of asking questions and trying to call each day. Again, this can feel funny because it's not the normal, but if you want to make a lot of money and grow your business, you're not going to be normal. If you want to beat the competition, you can't be normal. Call them again. You never know. I've heard the craziest stories that you would never think is believable, but it's like they filled out the form, they were in the porta potty, and then they went driving somewhere, they wrecked. And I kid you not, like it was the craziest story that you wouldn't believe. And then I get pictures of the wreck, right? And it's like, imagine if I would have just wrote that guy off. You never know what's happened. So follow up. They deserve it. You're a business owner. You have the responsibility. After day 7, 1 touch a week, 4 to 8 weeks, text or call, automate this. Just automate it. If you don't use a CRM, you're gonna have to do it in your phone. You can still automate it. iPhones, I don't know about Androids, but iPhones let you schedule texts. Set reminders and just keep following up. You paid for the lead. The people reached out, they raised their hand. That's kind of my next point here. But that cadence we just talked about was 10 to 15 attempts before even thinking about giving up. That's what I would recommend. And that's before you even think about calling a lead a bad lead as well. Teach the principles. So you're not being annoying if they raise their hand. They filled out the form. You're being professional. You're doing your job. Most of you quit after 1 to 2 attempts and then say leads are bad. These people deserve and want to be contacted when it's convenient for them. Keep trying until they give you a hard yes or no. Vanguard this anytime you get a hold of somebody. Hey, I'm not afraid to get told no, but I am afraid to waste your time and mine. So let's agree to be open and honest and not leave anyone hanging. And you're agreeing to that as well. I really like to say that. It really puts a kind of an ethical pull on them, but also you're getting upfront with it. It's like, hey, I get told no all the time. I'm not afraid to get told no. I don't want to waste your time. Let's not string each other along here. I'm going to get you the information you need and answer your questions as fast as possible. You just give me an answer, yes or no, based on that information as soon as you can. Huge, huge. Do it. And again, don't give up. Don't give up on the leads. It's going to make you a lot more money. So introductions, attention getters. So what phrases, words, sales pitch is the best attention getter? So 3 different openers here: cold or first call from a website lead. Hey, John, it's Jacob with Rise. Just saw you reach out about that property over off of 35. Is now a terrible time? You've heard me say this. You've heard me say this before, but why does it work? It disarms them, and it's different from, did I catch you at a good time? It's easier for them to say no to that than it is for them to say yes to, is now a terrible time. It's just little psychology things. For estimate follow-up, hey, John, it's Jacob with Rise again. I came out last week and we walked your place over there off of 35. Just wanted to see where your head's at on getting the land ready for whatever their goal is, for building that house, for putting in those food plots, for putting in the hunting lanes, for the pasture you need, whatever. Anchor back to their goal, not your quote. Text intro if they don't pick up, kind of same as earlier. Hey, John, it's Jacob with Rise. I just got your request about that property over off 35. I've got time Thursday and Friday at 1 p.m. to walk it and get you a firm number to make sure you don't overpay, which works. Throwing in some stuff like that, you're going to really separate yourself from the average guy. Because the average guy, I'm telling you guys, I see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations of land clearing guys with their potential clients. This kind of stuff is not the norm, but the guys who do this kind of stuff make way more money than the norm. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you. Just do it. But what most people are going to say is like, hey, send me the address. Hey, it's $3,000 an acre. Those are the kind of texts people are sending, like brand new leads that they've never talked to before. Imagine if you're the landowner and you get something like that, like, what's the address? Now we charge $3,000 an acre. Oh, I might have time next week, maybe. We'll see. Sorry, I'm on the road right now. People don't want to hear that. Have this templated in your phone. Hey, John, this is Jacob. I just got your request about that property over off of 35. I've got time Friday at 1 to walk it so we can get you a firm number and make sure you don't overpay. Which one works for you? Imagine getting that text versus the others. You're like, oh, dang, this guy wants to walk the property to make sure that I don't overpay. He must actually care. And then he already gave me a time. Like, I don't even have to like open a calendar or like go back and forth. It's like Friday at 1. Yeah, it works for me. Or worst case, like, oh, no, I actually have an appointment. I won't be back till 4 on Friday. And so a lot of times when you say that, you just give 1 or 2 options. And if those options don't work, they'll just send back a time that works for them. And then you can just say yes or no. It's easy. Emphasize using their name, reference the property or the location, mention speed benefit, firm number so you don't overpay, and give 2 choices of when works. These are huge. And referencing property, location, their name, all of these things are what's so important and so valuable about getting them to fill out a form. For years now, I've been having to explain this. And so I think a lot of people don't see the value in it directly. But you having any information about them or what they have going on before you talk to them is going to go leaps and bounds. Taking a second to know their name, to look at their area code, to look at the property, if they provide an address or an area, and then you ask for it again on the phone, that's so unprofessional. It's so annoying. But this is why I like to use lead forms, because you become informed, especially instant estimate tools, because you get so much information about their project and what they're wanting done before you ever talk to them. So you're coming to the phone engaged, and y'all can talk about the important things versus having to go back and forth about all this small talk that they're going to do with the majority of other companies they talk to. And they're going to talk to other companies most of the time. So be the better person. But the point being is a lot of people like to do like call campaigns or Facebook messaging campaigns. And you have to spend all of your time going back and forth about all of this stuff. Versus if you have a clear form with the questions that you want and they are willing to fill it out, they're a higher level of serious person versus somebody who was just willing to click send a message. They've had to click a few buttons, fill out some information. Now you're more informed before you talk to them, and you've saved them some time of talking back and forth on the phone with you. So, number one, it's so cool to have that information. Number two, if you have that information, don't ask for it again. If you want to confirm it, of course, like, hey, here, because sometimes Facebook will, or even Google will autofill, and they may live over here but own property over here. But it's like, hey, I just saw you filled out the form for this property over in Gerald. Just wanted to see if you had a good time to, well, you see it. This is why you got to script it. I already went off the script. I see you have that property over there in Gerald. I just wanted to see if you would be open to walking it. I have Friday at 1 p.m. open just so we can get you a firm number and make sure you don't overpay, which works for you. Pretty cool. Okay, next. Oh, giving two choices is huge there. I hope that answers the main questions. Again, if you're just coming in or you're watching the replay, the whole point of this live today was sales systems for land clearing owners. I kind of broke it up into two sections: owner operator or two-man crew, basically running the machine, versus guys who have a sales guy or a sales team. And the things that we talked about today was how a single operator or two-man crew can stay productive in the machine and be the salesman, how to keep pressure on sales guys so leads don't die, exactly how many times to follow up, and what to say in the first 10 seconds so people don't hang up on you. That's what we covered in this. I did create a document for this, guys. So if you want help installing a real sales or follow-up system for your land clearing business so you stop losing jobs you should be winning, then send me a message, leave a comment, just say sales, and tell me how many machines you have, what your average month looks like, and I'll point you to the next best move. And I can also give you a copy of this sales system document that I made if you'd like. If you don't, that's okay too. But I think we covered some really good stuff here today, and I will post this, but I'll stay on here for about 5 more minutes and answer any questions you may have about sales and land clearing. See if anybody commented in the school group here. Hopefully, guys that asked the questions, if you're watching this now or watching it later, that you will have your questions answered. Katie, I will send you that. Thank you. Dun, dun, dun. Katie asked, what recommendations do you have for follow up with clients who are interested, but maybe months from now? How do you keep them warm? So, Katie, I did talk about this a little earlier in the live, but it's a great question. And in my opinion, we have the responsibility as the business owner to keep that conversation open, because the client or the potential client, they raised their hand. So our job as professionals is to keep them informed and to keep them warm. And I gave the example of our client who closed a $500,000 job last year after 2 years of follow up. So if it's months from now, it's really not that far off if you think about this type of project. So you definitely want to keep them warm. And what I mentioned, Katie, was that a CRM or an automated system will be really nice for this because you can just set up 3, 4, 5 automated follow-ups for later. And you can also personally follow up in that time as well. But you can automate that. And you still always want to bam bam book a meeting from a meeting. So even if it's a serious semi-serious person and they're like, hey, I'm not ready till March, put a date on the calendar before you get off the phone with them and send them an invite to that follow-up so that they have it, so that it's in their email. And this will do two things: it'll keep them warm, it'll keep them understood, it'll be on their calendar, but it'll also keep you front of mind. Now, during that time, you could also send personal messages. If you don't have an automated system, you can do this from your phone. I was talking about earlier that iPhones, I'm not sure about Androids, but iPhones, you can schedule text messages. You can schedule emails. Um, and you can even just set reminders on your phone to reach out to them at that time, once a week, once a month, whatever. I would prefer bare minimum once a month, maybe every 2 weeks, depending on how warm or serious this person was. And it could be as simple as just asking them how their kids are doing, asking them how some project they had going on in their life is. Or you could send them a job video like, hey, you just finished a job and it made you kind of think about the job that they wanted done. It's like, hey, check out this 3-acre property we just cleared up. Excited to look at your property here in a couple months. Just thought you'd like to see this. Just keeping them warm, keeping them front of mind, keeping that personal conversation open is the best way. Hope that answers the question. And I'm putting together this document right now to be able to send you guys. Yeah, so again, if you just jumped in or you're watching later, just comment or message me sales. And if you're a land clearing company, just let me know how many machines you have and what your months are looking like right now. And because I kind of talked about two different things in here: one, sort of the owner operator, 2-man crew, you're kind of doing both. And then we talked about the company with crews and salesmen. And so I can kind of highlight what's more relevant to you. So yeah, just comment or send me a message with sales, how many machines you have, and what your months currently look like. And I'll send you this document. And Katie, it is sent to you right now. All right, guys, if there's no other questions, I'm going to jump off and get on with the day here. But I hope that you enjoyed this. If you're watching it later, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you do things differently, I'd love to hear about it. Um, and I'd love to hear what you do and what your percentages, look like. And if you have any more questions, hit me up here, TikTok, Facebook, Land Clearing Growth, everywhere. Hope you all have a good day. Talk to you soon.